Hit me with a reason. Tell me it's the season. Falling out of love again. Maybe in my mind's eye, I could see another try. A suitcase in the hall. And even though I tried my best, I could never second guess. Even if I wanted to, I'm way too old to play this game. So I'll give you back your name. Do just what you wanna do. When love has gone, 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 when love has gone. Oh, yeah. Try as I might, there's no fight. Count it out again. I was so full of love, at least I thought it was. I'm on the losing end. And even though we tried our best, we could never second guess. Even if we wanted to, we're way too old to play this game. Let's just walk away, no shame. When love has gone, 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 when love has 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 gone. I could never second guess. Even if I wanted to, not even if I wanted to. I'm way too old to play this game, so I'll give you back your name. Do just what you wanna do. When love has gone, 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 when love has gone. When love has gone, gone, gone. When love has gone, when love has gone, when love has gone, when love has gone, when love has gone.
Yeah. When love has gone, when love has gone. What's happening? Check. You're he. Hold on. You're he. Check. You're he. There you go. Thank you, CC. Twin in the building. What's going on? Salutes, grand old chat room. What I go on? Midweek link up. Midweek link up. Wicked. What's happening? Who we got down there in the chat room? Vlad. Count Vlad. Mm? Big Vlad. Vladimir the Impaler in the building. Salute my guy. CC in the building. What's going on, twin? Big Stank in the building. Oh shit. I ain't seen Big Stank in a little while. How you doing, Big Stank? Hmm? Salute to you, Dr. Wake Walker, my guy. Salutes, man. Welcome. How those birds doing? I hope you're looking after those birds. All right. We all got a duty to do out here, right? Good man. Salutes. Uncle Rick in the building. What's happening? What's happening? Big up to you, man. Big up, big up. Belfast child in the building. Mm. We got Ireland in the building, folks. Salutes the island in the building. The island in the building. Mm. Flavors. Flavors. 420 if you got that. All right. 420 if you have that. If you have that. Wicked. So what's good, people, man? How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Midweek link up. You know, I like to get together or get the people together when I can, when I got a bit of free time, see what's cracking out there, you know, connect some dots, always in dot mode. Salutes to the people who stay in dot mode, right? Salute to you people, man. Oh, let me stretch. Oh, that feels good. Oh, man. Oh, Lord. Yes, Lord. Stretch. Who can touch their toes? I wonder if you folks can touch your toes. Anybody touch their ankles? Hmm? Can you just stretch on command? You touch your toes? I wonder if you can touch your toes still. Don't go and do it now during the show, right? I don't want you to fall over and then you can't get to your, keypad or anything. Just stay where you are, all right? Stay where you are. Not yet, all right? Not yet. Hey, and I want to give a big thank you to the people who's been sharing my stuff out there, right? It doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you very much. All right. Salutes to the folks. You know who you are. You know who you are. Salutes to you. Much respect to that. I see a few people doing that, so salutes to you. Salutes to you. Much love. I guess you like what you see, right? You like what your boy putting out there. Thank you. I appreciate that. Greater light, greater light. Yes, Lord. What's happening? Grandma in the building, AI in the building. Mm. So yeah, we got a few things to look over today. We're going to be looking at Masonic symbols, making some connections. I think someone forwarded this on to me or recommended it. I forgot who it was now. I think it was Fools and Tools actually. So we'll have a look at something that Fools and Tools recommended and connect some dots over there. I had a look at a few parts of it. It's interesting. All right. So day one in the building. How we doing, day one? Salutes to you, my guy. Much love. What's that? If I reach my ankles, I might crap. Yeah. Don't do that now, though. All right? Don't do that now. All right, cool. Salute, salutes. Where are we? Boom. Here we are. Grand old chat room. See you folks down there. Yeah, man. Wicked. Got big stacks icon. Look at that big tummy. Look at that tummy. Wowzers. All right, let's get into something. Where are we? Hold on a second. Boom. Over here.
Um, yeah, with all of that said, let's get to it. There is a lot to go over. So let's not waste any more time. And here we go. All right, Illuminati symbolism. So, also, just to be as open as possible with everything, um, I am analyzing a very specific set of symbols. This is not a history of the Illuminati or secret societies. There's a lot to be said about all of that stuff, and I respect the researchers who know a lot about, the Bavarian Illuminati and things like that. This, for the most part, is me decoding.
The Bavarian Illuminati? Wowzers. Wowzers. Someone forward that on to me, please. Let's keep going.
I would say probably two or three of the most common symbols that are associated with the Illuminati, like the all seeing eye, which you can see right here, which is obviously, on the $1 bill and everything else. So I figured I would just start there with everything. And so I made that the main graphic for this presentation. Right. So here we are. This is the $1 bill. And so financial, monetary symbolism, the magical aspect of our currency, and just kind of what's going on with all of that Babylonian money magic, whatever you want to call it. That's a whole sort of thing in and of itself. And there are so many tangents we can go on with its relationship to, water, as an example, right? Currency. Probably a lot of you guys are aware of that. There's a lot of hermetic symbolism that we could.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of links with water and this realm. I'm aware of that, most definitely. The realm and the links. Hey, Lizzo in the building. How you doing, Lizzo? Sent me what? Just sent me something. Okay, cool. I'll have a look. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lizzo. Chris said, "Where Jack?" Where Jack?
get into mercurial symbolism that we can get into, Egyptian symbolism that we can get into. This thing is absolutely loaded. There is so much going on here. But for the sake of this presentation, we're going to really hone in on a few very specific things. Notably, the pyramid with the capstone, the all seeing eye, and the New World Order, and what that's all about, and what it's actually alluding to, according to my research. Um, and so I just wanted to put this out there. This is usually the context in which you see that pyramid with the all seeing eye. I'm sure you guys are very, very familiar with this by now.
Hmm.
And here it is, just a closer version of what's going on here, right? And I'm going to be discussing too, what is said above and what is said below, right? And so we will get around to that for sure. And here is what the all seeing eye, or the eye of providence, looks like in other contexts. And so if you just Google it, you're going to see so many different examples of this artwork. The one eye within the triangle. And oftentimes there are rays emanating from this triangle. And so this is implying so many different things.
Hmm.
But, our eye, esoterically, it's interesting. We tend to think of our eye as only receiving information, but in actuality, it's also projecting information as well.
Yeah.
And so anything that is shaped like a yoni, uh,
Okay. I want to stop that right there. What he said, right, about our eyes taking in information and putting out information. Right now, pay attention to what he said there, because through my research, that seems to be the case as well, right? In putting in and taking out, right? But what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, what's the form of energy that comes in? How does the information come in to the body? The light, right? The light. So therefore, vice versa. light can go in and light can come out, right? In and out. If we're talking about information, we're talking about the light. All right, you have to keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Let's keep going.
Is both projective and receptive. So that's one thing to understand.
Hold on, do you think that's probably where they get their ideas from things like Superman shooting, his heat vision or ray visions or laser visions, whatever you want to call it, right? Cyclops and these people, right? Coming from your optic blast. I used to love X-Men back in the day. I ain't seen it in many years, but I'm willing to put money on it. This is where they get those type of ideas from, enemies or superheroes shooting lasers from their eyes, right? Shooting information from their eyes. Yeah.
Understand just about eye symbolism in general is that there's a projectivity sort of thing going on there, without a doubt, as well as a receptive sort of nature. But obviously, with rays, generally, we tend to think about the projective element of everything. And when it comes to the Illuminati,
Uh-oh.
celebrity culture is completely baked into a lot of this symbolism. And so there are countless celebrities that have done the all-seeing eye hand gesture, right,
Yeah.
in public. If you just Google it, there's just like hundreds and hundreds of images of different celebrities doing this all over the place, right? And so this has become a meme, and so this has become a meme. It's part of pop culture now. Um, Most people have some understanding of what Illuminati means, or what secret societies are and everything else. And so over the decades, this kind of symbolism has become really popular, essentially. And so all of you guys are familiar with this, right? And even people who aren't interested in alternative information or symbolism, they at least have some sort of clue about all of this stuff now, because this has been put in our faces for a very long time. And so, what is it all, alluding to? What is it referencing? And I'm going to try and explain from my perspective what some of this is all about. There's also the whole entire thing about either covering up one eye, showing one eye, or emphasizing one eye with the AOK hand gesture. Not going to get into even honestly some of the ritualistic aspects of all this stuff, but I'm really honing in on what does the one eye symbolism represent, right? And so this is just a collage that I pulled from.
Now when I see this the eye and the finger movement, right? It reminds me of the spiral. Remember the spiral what we was looking into? Right? The spiral. What it looks like. Spiral.
Google or something like that. And so there are many, many examples of this, once again, of celebrities or politicians or whatever. People
Hold on. Let's get that for context. It's me. With the spiral. That's what I get now when I look at these folks here.
people doing things with one eye and kind of gesturing to some of this symbolism. It even comes in the form of black eyes too, right? And
Uh-oh.
so one eye is black, and so it looks like they
Damn. That black eye stuff. I know. What is going on with this black eye club? Look at this. Oh man, my man Kanye's in there. Hell no, Kanye, what the hell you doing in there? That's why I knew I put it on good money, you know. I knew I banked on good money. Look at him. Got you, B. Got you. Huh? Yeah. You parted him. I knew it. I knew it. Just calm down. I got you, man. I got you. Right? I got you. I got you. Look at that. Black Eye Club. Who else is in that club? There's someone else that's in that club. Ah, who is it again? Hold on. The Black Eye Club. The Black. Oh, yeah. Black Eye Club. This clown. Mm-hmm. Black Eye Club. Mm-hmm. Black Eye Club. Mm-mm. Mental. 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 No one is just it's just there in plain sight. You just can't deny it. Can't deny it. Mm-mm. They're gonna call me a baby truther. They're gonna call me a baby truther. Look, Black Eye Club. They're gonna call me a baby truther.
got hit or mugged or something like that. But this is another emphasis of the one eye symbolism. And so there's a few different ways in which we tend to see it out there. So once again, just to recap, the triangle over the one eye, covering up one eye, a okay.
Look at that though, man. What is going on here? Does anybody know what's going on with their eye? Like, why is it like this? Why? They get punched in their face. I don't understand. They must have got punched in their face. So what, did this guy get punched in his face as well? Both of his eyes. He got punched in both of his eyes. Wow. Everyone's getting punched in their face. No wonder why everybody's mad. Mm-mm. Just punching people in their eyes, yeah? Is that what we're doing now? Take that, and that.
Over one eye or the black eye. And I might even be missing examples, to be honest. And so these are just the things that came to my mind when I started putting this presentation together. Right. So here we
Woo.
are with the
Here
one
we are.
eye, which is often, referred to as the eye of God.
Mm.
Right. And all you have to do is take one eye and drop it into a triangle, and we have the symbolism.
That even looks like that's the construct in there, right? The moon itself, right there. Look at the lens itself, it looks like. Right there, hidden in plain sight. Look at that. I like that.
Of the all seeing eye, of the eye of providence. In occultism, too, you're going to see a lot of the same symbolism depending on who you're looking into. So, this is probably the most famous photo of Aleister Crowley, and he has this all seeing eye of providence symbol on his hat right there. And so
Mhm.
this gets into as well the idea of the all seeing eye being a reference to our third eye. Notice that
Oh yeah, I found a little connection with the how would you call it? The Crow 777 theme, right? I found a connection with the Crow, right? And obviously the 777 is tied into Crowley, right? But what this guy just said, I wonder if it's meant to mean Crowley instead of Crowley, right? I wonder if that is a spin-off for the Crow. Okay, there's something I found out, especially with um one of his, how would you call it? One of his icons that he uses, right? The tower and the crow. Very interesting.
it's on a hat on top of his head. And so many people relate the all seeing eye to our third eye, the pineal gland. And as of late, I've kind of been saying Is it the third eye, or in actuality, is it the first eye? So something to chew on, which we'll be getting into over the course of this presentation. But
I think his hands as well, they represent the two pillars on each side, possibly like the doors or the opening. Got the pyramid above, the side of the pyramid again, like the concave system again. It's another concave system they're showing you.
but notice the way he's posed here, and he has his arms to the side of his face, and then the all-seeing eye is in the middle. And so there is this repeated theme of this eye being related to a central pillar
Yeah,
or
there you
a
go.
middle way in
Yeah, bingo. That's why there's a part in there. Bingo. Yes, sir. Keep going.
between polarities, in between duality, in between the pillars of Freemasonry. And so this is just something that's going to be repeated time and time again. And this is getting into the third eye thing, right? So if it's our third eye, it's implying that it's in between the two other eyes, right? Creating that triangle. So it's implying that it is the middle point between these polarities, masculine, feminine, black, white, etc. There's so many different ways of breaking it down, but it's always right there in the middle. And so this is a very important part in decoding, in my opinion, what this is all about. And then also too, his hat even looks like a triangle in and of itself, right? Also, he has a six-pointed star behind this triangle.
Mhm.
And when you're creating a six-pointed star, like the Star of David, you have an upright triangle and then you have a downward pointing triangle, and they're oftentimes just laid right over each other. And so this is another thing that's alluding to two polarities coming together.
Not only that, my friend, if you're going to talk about the six-pointed star, you have to mention the hex. Without the star, there is no hex, and vice versa. Right? 6 points and 6 sides. The cell, right? Cellular. You're dealing with cellular. Right? 6 points, 6 sides. Let's keep going.
Being the middle point or the middle way, or being the synthesis of these polarities, which is a very, very mercurial concept. Mercury is very much related to androgyny, the divine, androgyne, and yeah, it can go between these polarities. So it's neither masculine nor feminine. It's a synthesis of the two. It's neither black or white or whatever you want to say, positive or negative. It's a synthesis of the two. It can go all along the spectrum, which is why Mercury is related to being the messenger of the gods, because it can go anywhere, basically. And also, too, I'll just say the upright triangle being more masculine when we're creating the six-pointed star, which is the glyph for fire, and then the downward pointing triangle being more feminine and receptive, being the glyph for water. And so, again, the six-pointed star, the Star of David, being a fusion of this polarity. Um, and that's why, too, Judaism, there's a lot of twin tower symbolism, twin pillar symbolism within Judaism and esoteric Judaism and the Kabbalah, etc. And here is Madonna, right, wearing the pyramid with the capstone and the all-seeing eye.
Damn, Madonna, you know. Of course. I mean, it's Madonna after all, right? We're pretty sure she was playing for the other side, right? In every aspect. Madonna. I mean, when she was younger, she was a little catch, right? She was a catch. Hey, Madonna, hey. You seeing her now? I mean, some of these celebrities, they grow old gracefully, right? But some of them just completely wreck themselves. And I think she happens to be one of them. Right? She had a good start, but the ending wasn't so happy, in my opinion. But good legacy, right? Good legacy. But yeah, the jacket is just screaming Illuminati. Look at this. Nice. She's even got it on the collar. Look at it on the collar. Right? See the eye on the collar. Just another manic Monday. I wish it was. Hey, you know the lyrics, man. Hey, Lizzo, you know the lyrics. Don't stop playing with me. Sing with me. Just another manic Monday. Oh shit. Lay low. Let's keep going.
on her jacket. So again, this has been all over the place. This is like nothing new. I'm sure for
Hey, family, what's going on? Grand old chat room. JP in the building, salutes. Kyle in the building, salutes. Big up to you folks. Big up. Sote in the building. What's going on, Tay Tay? Big up to you. Big up. Much love. Much love. Let's keep going, man. Much love.
most people who are watching this, whether you're here live or you're watching it after the fact, you guys have seen this stuff over and over and over. But now is a good time for me just to point out that this pyramid is made of bricks. And so brick symbolism also has a connection to the twin pillars and duality and polarity, which I'll be getting into later on in the presentation. But let's not forget that the pyramid is made of bricks. The brick symbolism is very, very interesting and very deep. And it was maybe a couple years ago now during Gemini, I really went down a brick rabbit hole. And I was surprised to see that there are so many things related to brick symbolism um, that it just blew my mind. It's way deeper than what you would imagine, but it actually makes a lot of sense too, given the fact that bricks are how we build a lot of things, right? And so here we are once again with the pyramid and the all-seeing eye. So what's going on with eye symbolism, just in general, taking it out of the context of anything related to secret societies, Freemasonry, the Illuminati? What does just the one eye represent that we're getting into here?
It represents home, in my opinion, right? It represents home. This is what a lot of people overlook, right? They just think it's there just for an ornament. But this thing right here represents home. Home. A lot of people know it, but they're just scared to say it. Right? Say it with me. Home. Home. Adnod. Right? Lens. Upper room. Globe, aka eye, medical term. Right? Let's keep going.
Well, there's a few ways of breaking it down, in my opinion. One way is just to acknowledge the Vesica Pisces and the Venn diagram, right? So when you take two circles and you overlap them, like I'm doing here, you'll see that the overlapping area creates a yoni, or it creates an eye. And this is really interesting because it also creates a seed. So symbolically, this is a seed. And so this also gets into arc symbolism and sacred.
Woo! Arc symbolism. Arc. That's what I've been talking about, right? The arc. The lens, the ship, right? The nucleus. The nucleus. But even this symbol right here, we've been looking into this symbol, right? Because this is another representation, right, for mouth, right? In Egypt, this was a representation for mouth. And it was another representation for not eye, something similar to eye, but it wasn't eye particular. But this one was mouth also, right? But this shape right here, now, it plays its part in a lot of things, right? We've seen it in some maps, right? What do I mean by that? I mean by this, right? The lenticular shape again, right? The lens shape, the mouth shape, the yoni shape, the seed shape. It's everywhere. That shape right there, right? So when I hear the mouth, right, I think of things like this. right? The mouth, belly of the beast, and the mouth of the beast. Right, the mouth. This is what they're probably showing us when they mean mouth, right? Living in the mouth, just like what the Egyptians used to show us, right? Which also looks like an eye. So it's a symbol for an eye and a mouth. Right, the mouth. So now when I look at this, it brings a whole new meaning to me. Right, this shape right here. Right, the mouth shape, the lens shape. Right, this is what I'm talking about with the nucleus and the lens, right? It's got that same shape again, folks. And what did he say? Hold on. What did the guy say? Let's take it back a bit.
Yoni, or it creates an eye. And
Or it creates an eye, right? Yoni or the eye.
like I'm doing here, you'll see that the overlapping area creates a yoni, or it creates an eye. And this is really interesting because it also, or it creates the overlap.
Now, I want to point something out, right? Because even when I see these two circles here, right? Now, to me, I feel like they're showing me something else when it comes to vision, like how our eyes would work. Hold on, let me take a picture of this actually. Hold on a second. Right, hold on. That's quite interesting. Okay, here we go. Over there, there. Give me a sec. Yeah. Okay, we're here. So even when I'm looking at this also to me looks like sight, right, in left eye or right eye. And you know, if you was to put your finger down the middle, right, this is how you get your perfect vision, right, through both eyes. They become one, get one sight you see through here. I forgot what they call it, right, but it's where your two visions on each eye meet in the middle. And this is how you really see, right, through this part right here. Wonder if anybody understands what I'm trying to say. If you was to put your hand over one eye, you'll just see predominantly on one side, right? But you put them both together, that meeting point of your visions on both eyes will give you the vesica piscis. I know it sounds weird. I wonder if I'm explaining it right, but yeah, that's what I think they're showing us through this as well. Excuse me. Chat room saying creates an 8 or an infinity 2. Yes, it does. Yeah, most definite. Field of vision. There you go. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vlad. There you go. Good man. Good man. Vlad's on point. I like Vlad. We like Vlad. We love you, Vlad.
Overlapping area creates a yoni, or it creates an eye. And this is really interesting because it also creates a seed. So symbolically, this is a seed. And so this also gets into our
Lizzo said, I covered both eyes and nothing. Yo, right. He's wild, you know.
arc symbolism and sacred center symbolism, which is basically a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today, is this idea of a sacred center and that centers return to itself. And so centers will expand and then return to itself, not unlike a torus field, right?
Mhm.
So when you have this Vesica Pisces symbol, you're dealing with the receptive quality of the yoni and the projective quality of the yoni or the vagina as well. This is where life comes from, right? And so in this way too, it's very much related to the womb as well, right?
Yeah, because don't they share the same waters? Right? Don't they share the same waters, the waters of life? So the eye and the womb shares the same waters. That is crazy. But I like it. I like it. Hmm.
And therefore you can say the cosmic womb, even. But that's what I see in it. I see the eye, I see the seed, which seed symbolism is very much related to egg symbolism as well. And then I see vaginal symbolism, like I've been going on about. But this idea of an eye, right, is very much right there for you. And it's pretty obvious. Also, when you overlay circles like this, um, you can create the flower of life. And there's so many mathematical properties that are related to overlapping circles like this that it kind of boggles the mind, really. And I have a buddy, LC King. He gets into some of that stuff, the mathematical geometry sort of aspect of some of this stuff, and he has a lot of interesting things to say about, the Vesica Pisces and everything else. Also, too, we're dealing with the two overlapping, so polarity, so maybe perhaps a masculine and a feminine aspect, or just two units coming together, creating something new, something that is a synthesis, as I've been saying, between the two. And so
Something new would possibly be sight restored again, right? Seeing again, Jesus healing the blind again, right? So to speak.
in a way, what you're looking at too, you're looking at a gateway being created. And so when you have twin pillars, you are implying that there is a middle way or that there is a gateway between those two pillars. So this is something that we'll be getting into. And for the sake of this presentation, I just had the circles be vertical, but easily they could be just turned, horizontally. So what you're
Yeah.
dealing with is
And that's what we just did, right? That's exactly what we just did. Like I said, everything, bro, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, sir, in my humble opinion, sir. Yeah, I think everything leads back to the eye. In my humble opinion, sir.
this like a trinity, basically mother, father, child, right? And so those two pillars, you're basically doing the same thing, mother, father, and then that middle way can be symbolically looked at as a new way, or a childlike sort of essence, or there's a new quality being created when two things kind of come together. And so the Vesca Pisces is very much emblematic of this, in my opinion. And so that's why the yoni is a gateway. Our eyes are gateways. They're the gateway to the soul, right? That's what most people say. And so all you have to do is add
Hold on. The pyramid. Okay. Okay. Take that back. Look at that.
And so all you have to do is add a triangle, and you've got the symbolism of the all-seeing eye right there. Um, as I've been saying, Trinity, the three, the two creating a third, mother, father creating a third, a child. And so
Yes, but this is the thing. The pyramid is in everything. You cannot escape it. I told you, folk, it seems to play a part of the construct. It plays a part of the construct, right? I told you their ceremonies, their rituals, they will expose themselves, right? They will give it away in their ceremonies and their rituals. You know what I mean by that, right? All right, cool. Let's have a look. See that? Let's have a look. Oh, let's take that off. Look, this was the finals, Chelsea versus PSG, right? I think it got played in America, and Donald Trump was there, and he presented them with the trophy. Let's have a look. Look at that. Look what he's giving them, right? The diamond in the middle of the construct, ladies and gentlemen. The UFO has landed. And what's inside of it could be the construct again. It's a little plus, a little X in a circle. Look. Living inside of the diamond, which is inside of the sphere, right? All the way up. Look at that. Showing you in plain sight. These people know what I'm talking about. I know what they're trying to show me. It's in the symbols. You go back and the ancients was trying to show you this also. They weren't talking about flat earth. It's beyond flat earth. What are we talking about? This shit is deeper than flat earth, folks, right? This shit is wow. But you gotta hold my hand, don't worry, man. We'll get there eventually, right? We'll get there eventually. But it all leads back to, right, the mouth shape again, right? The nucleus, the lens, right? This is what they're showing us. So this is what I'm showing you. Right? And guess who's running the show? These guys. These guys. Yeah, these guys. No one ain't gonna come out here and show you and tell you these things the way how London puts it together like this. They're not gonna show you and tell you like this. Right? We're connecting something to it. We're anchoring something to it. Put your teeth into this. Sink your motherfucking teeth into this. There's meat there, right? Do what you want with it. It all leads back to these people, the fucking eye people, right? They see what we're doing out here. Look at that. Look at that. Hidden in plain sight. The UFO. Excuse me. The UFO. We went over this. The mothership inside of the globe. Crazy.
So I think it's really interesting that there is Trinity symbolism, triune symbolism baked into the all-seeing eye of providence symbolism.
Mm. All right, because look, I mean, it's everywhere, right? Look, let's have a look at Trump again, right? Look, right? If we're talking about the eyes, and look at the diamond again, right? Have a look at this one. Where is it? It's even in this stuff here, the minions, right? The diamond in the globe again, right? Bingo. It's in everything, is what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ain't no escaping it. Remember, this minions bullshit, excuse me, is based around the moon also. This stuff is based around the moon. Ain't no flat earth in this. Bigger than flat earth. This is that cellular hollow earth, leads you to hollow moon, leads you to the upper room. Crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Via the triangle, right? And so this idea of three is an integral part of just kind of everything that we're going to be talking about. And so speaking of three, we have this idea of a third eye, as I've been saying. And again, is it our third eye, or in actuality, is it our first eye? And so this is a classic sort of diagram showing the chakras up your central pillar.
What did I miss? Scobie said, hello, respond to me. What did I miss? What did I miss? Did I miss something? What did I miss? Shani in the building, salutes. What's happening? How we doing, my man? How we doing? How we doing? Salutes to you. Let me know if you want that link. It will be dropped on request, right? Let's keep going.
Which has a correspondence with our spine. Our spines have 33 vertebrae. And so this pineal gland is right here. And notice that it's right above a triangle, right? That's the symbolism, at least in this diagram, of what's associated with that chakra, that purple chakra. And it's a triangle with the third eye on top. Reminds me quite a bit, obviously, right, of the Eye of Providence, or the all-seeing eye, of Illuminati symbolism, right?
Look, it's even got the lens again, right? Do you know what? See, this is wow. Hold on, I take a picture of this because I saw this earlier. Hold on a second. I'm gonna show you. Well, should I show you now or? Yeah, hold on a second. Could you show you something, right? Good to go. Ain't gonna get it anywhere else, right? I keep telling you this. Now, this little thing was playing out in front of us, right? This is another representation of the Fem2 laser again, right? It's another representation of the Fem2 laser, how they would call it, right? You can see there's a source of light coming down through another lenticular shape, right? And it's above the pyramid, which is another representation of Earth, right? Another representation of the Earth, right? But this little scene up here, forget about the snake and everything else, right? This little scene that's up here, right? What's going on right here? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? Now look closely at what's going on. Right? This one is what's going on here, right? Source of light coming down, hitting the lens, and it's causing destruction, melting something, correct? Right? This is the UFO again, right? This would be the UFO, ladies and gentlemen, causing destruction. What do I mean by that? I mean by this again, right? Exactly what they're showing you here, right? The UFO dropping something in the crater or shooting something down and it causes the crater, the lens again, right? You see exactly what I mean. Death from above again, right? What I've been trying to show you folks, it's all about the light and the lens. Can't have one without the other. Let's keep going. And look, this is why it's happening up in the upper room, right? The skull, the head. There's a reason why it's in the upper room. That's the reason why you see this being played out in the upper room, because it's to do with the eye, the skull, the head, the upper room, ladies and gentlemen. This little scenario here with the wing disc, the avalenticular disc, and the pyramid, right? It's to do with the upper room again. That's why the skull, happening in the skull.
And so this idea of the pineal gland being right where it's at, implying the third eye, um, it's emblematic, in my opinion, of Polaris in the night sky, as we will be seeing. And so our spines are symbolic of the world axis, and the world axis goes from the North Pole to the pole star. And so when we're looking at eye symbolism, this third eye symbolism right there in the middle.
Yeah, that egg, Carl, that is it. This it's what I explained with the Fem2 second. I think it's Fem2 secondary laser experiment. It's to do with the gamma ray, right? It's to do with gamma rays. What they was referring to, right? But it goes deep, man. There's some deep shit out there, man. Especially with the lens.
Middle, I think that there's a direct relationship between what's going on in the heavens and what's going on in our bodies. There's an as above, so below relationship with the order of the cosmos. As above, what's going on in the heaven. Middle, I think that there's a direct relationship between what's going on in the heavens
Hmm.
and what's going on in our bodies. There's an as above, so below relationship with the order of the cosmos.
The heavens. I like the way people say the heavens, right? But they're not knowing the heavens is another word for the firmament. And what was the firmament known as? The moon. And what does the moon seem to be? The lens. So yeah, we have a lens in our body. So micro to macro. Yeah, there you go.
And the way humans have been designed. And so there's just so many epic things about this that I've been wanting to talk about. So also notice that there are twin serpents going up the spine. And so this is a reference to Kundalini energy. This is very mercurial stuff, right? So Mercury holds a caduceus. The caduceus is a
Hold on a second. Hold on. I think you got something to say. Let me have a quick word with you. Let me see what you're about. See what you're about. Hit that link. Hit that link. So I just been listening. You got my attention now. I saw the chat. So hit that link. Hit that link. Hit that link. 420 if you got that real quick, right? 420 if you got that. Oh, I think I've taken a quick music break while I'm at it then, right? Whoever's got any questions or smoke, hit that link while you got the chance. Right, let's go.
Pictures coming down, doors kicking in, fans running around crazy like. They'll take your baby life, mother, wife, leave a message like happen by 8th and 9th. Hearing the charges is hurtful, need to check on your circle, what square broke the curfew? Let you live while he ain't murk you, finish the first two, green moving slower than turtles. Get low for a minute, stay away from everybody that you know for a minute. This shit was so for a minute, fucked you up, you had a little slow flow for a minute. But you ain't trying to lead the block, it's more than enough birds here, you gotta lead the flock. Lord knows that your pockets need.
Yo,
Hello.
you live.
Yeah, I see. I feel very lucky to be chosen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who are you and where you calling from?
Huh?
Who are you and where are you calling from?
Where am I from?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm in India right now.
India. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Nice, nice. What brings you over here? How comes you are watching London, man?
Been digging rabbit holes. Love the content. Yeah, I love the black sheep researchers content.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes, yes. Paul, good friend
and
of
yeah,
ours.
he mentioned this YouTube channel, so I instantly subscribed, and I've been seeking answers like passionately. I want to know. I wanna do changes in my body. I want to fucking reach that level that you guys talk about passionately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. First of all, big up to the Black Sheep researcher, Paul. We love you. We love you. I think he knows this. We love you, Paul. Big you up. And yeah, I appreciate that, man. He does a lot for the community, bringing valuable work and information our way, right? So we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, Paul's got some good work out there, man. Some good work.
Absolutely. Like the way he's explaining the Janus connection, and he's
Yes.
explaining that people are basically, they're getting killed. All wars are the banking wars. We all know that. And so they're basically sacrificing people to Janus. And in exchange of that, they're basically opening their eyes, and then they're, I don't know, they're doing the energy exchange from above, something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, most definitely. He's got it locked, man. I mean, look, Paul's got all avenues covered. He's got all avenues covered. That's one thing I like about Paul. He's got it all covered. You know, his work goes back many years, many years, many years. He's got it covered. I'm grateful for that. You know, he
Right.
Janice thing. I do something different over here. I'm more focused on the eye, right? And the reason why I'm focused on the eye is because
Mhm.
they show me the eye in everything they do and everything they present to me.
Yeah, like he's
Every,
wait, who presents you these things? Like, do you have any spirit that helps you?
but
Like,
what when I say they, I mean like the same people who we, are in disagreement with, like
uh,
NASA, you know, whoever the case may be, whether it's old ancient scriptures or whatever the case may be, but NASA as well, they have shown me some things to do with the eye. You know, they even reference eye planets and these things.
mm,
So yeah. Plus, what I intend to do now, I look at everything in a different set of eyes again, because everybody seems to be stuck on, globe or flat Earth. You
mm.
know, you they they will show you a ring and instantly they say, "Oh, there's the dome, there's the dome." I'm like, no, it's all about perspective. They could be showing you something hollow, right? So this is where we shift the gears now. We've kind of come away from the mainstream stuff, which seems to be controlled, which is hollow, not hollow, flat Earth and
Yeah,
the globe. So I look into more stuff people do not talk about, which is hollow Earth, and that seems to lead to many things other than flat Earth. Right? So
I see.
yeah, it's a bit different
I
over
mean,
here.
I think the concept of hollow Earth, it's basically the jumbled word heart, and as of course as you even showed the Gnostic picture wherein the serpent energy is rising up. That has to do with the, like, that goes through heart chakra as well, and so the heart chakra plays important role. And I know a few people here where I'm from. They have like managed to, they claim so that they have managed to align themselves with that natural energy, and so
Hmm.
basis on that they've started getting downloads, and also they're giving uploads to like higher realms through their bodies, and uh, because of which they even got what's the word, uh, they basically challenged this this Jewish system, and they're uh, get basically getting their mortgages discharged for free, basis on the arguments that they're presenting in the code, which are influenced by law of the land, if you know what I mean. Like, they're defeating the law of the water.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I tried to go there. I wanted to like, I joined one of their seminars. They could keep conducting seminars and stuff, and then they pick select like people, like selected people, and then they bring them to the trainings halls that they organize, and then they claim that they connect people. They do something in their bodies. It connects them with that energy. And in one of their videos, they also mentioned the terminology, like, which is pretty popular in rabbit holes, called uh, uh, "As Above, So Below," and the Star of David.
Yeah. Yeah. As
Yeah,
above,
but
so yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but they, I didn't really trust them that well, because I mean, some of the things they said, which were similar to what I have been, listening to in rabbit holes through you guys, especially a lot of Americans, and of course a lot of people from UK, which is what made me wanna, go and see what they're if they're actually real or not. Um, so far, I have attended their one seminar only, but if you guys, I mean, I would be very happy to, because like when I was there, I was thinking that if I could get like, I could, if there could be any way I could, like, activate this thing in myself without being having to be dependent on them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm pretty close. I know now, after watching his video, Black Sheep Researcher's video, that it has to do with the eye, and I know that, like everyone else, I've got that distorted vision which I have to fix, and then once that is done, it'll be sorted. It'll uh, it'll clear out the way for the energy to flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like, if you know anything, how that can be achieved, bro, or if you have any supporting material for
Look, I
that,
got
that
something
I
for you.
can read something. Okay.
I got. Are you ready for this one right here? Because this
Uh,
is this is your land. Like I said, the eye, right? It leads back to the eye. Mm-hmm.
uh yeah.
You right? Everything leads back to the eye, my friend. You cannot tell me
Yeah.
it's not an eye which they're trying to show us. This is your home flag.
Yeah, it's all within, but I don't know how to see it. Like, when I close my eyes, all I see is fucking dark, and I don't like it. I want to actually see what's inside.
Hold on, am I showing this on that side there? Yeah, I am. Is it showing? Yeah, it was. Okay, cool. All right, all these back to the eye. And these people are running the show, right? Ophthalmologists. I mean, look, you're okay now. Let's go back to your homeland because even the ancient stories of places like Agartha, Shambhala, and these places, it's over your side of the world.
Yeah.
Entrances, civilizations beneath our feet. And
Um,
that's
could
something
be, could be,
that's quite
because like,
interesting.
because see, like, how do I say? There are a few doors that, like, when you look up these things, you come across images of doors, and I kind of strongly feel that it has connection with those doors as well, and um, maybe it could be possible that underneath there is actually, hollow space where people could be residing.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much to be, researched. There's so much things to have to take into account. But the more I narrow it down, everything just seems to lead back to the eye. Like, or if it isn't the eye, it seems to be a tower or a rock, right? And Paul's thing that he brings to the table lately is the cave, right? I like the cave theory as well because that also screams, a construct like a container,
Mm.
another construct, a container, and
Yeah, a lot of such people, they vanish from like from the eyes of like general people, general public, and they even now, like there is a saying. Although they used to do these things like back in those days, and it's not really frequent um, anymore to for somebody to just get up and go to the cave and be a caveman in order to get the knowledge. But there's a saying, they say, if you can't do anything, if you're not good for nothing, just go on the mountains, just become a caveman.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, now even that, that terminology, caveman,
Uh-huh.
it's thrown upon like so loosely. Like when you hear caveman, you think of like caves, right? People living in caves. Now, what if there's more to that? What if there really is more to
Yeah,
that?
there's definitely more to that. Yeah, I think because like they dwell there, and then over the time, uh, they became like grays, like the grays that we get to see in conspiracy theories,
Hmm.
because that's what, because they had to like focus more in the dark, and so over the time, uh, their eyes got bigger according to the need, and so
Like
they developed over the
bigger.
time features that helped them survive in the caves. But the point is, like, say if everything is inside, you like exchange and receive signals from something that is inside. Why would you go inside the cave for that?
It's it's probably the treasures or the lights that people want within the cave.
Like the empty, like the peace, serenity.
Possibly some type of understanding or peace within the darkness within the cave, because everything comes from the darkness, right? And apparently within the cave it's meant to be darkness, but what if there's really light within the cave, right? Same way how speculations about, does the moon have its own light, or is it the sun playing its part? I think the
Yeah,
moon
yeah.
has its own light, right? Like the cave
even
has its
them
own light.
even them they claim the same thing. They say there are things that you cannot see from, because you're experiencing life within the visible spectrum from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and there exists other spectrums that you cannot experience or know about unless you go in the dark, wherein your melatonin or melanin, whatever it is, it
Mhm.
balances out, and then uh, stuff happens, magic happens.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something. That definitely would be something.
Um, would you like to look up? Would you like to look up those people that I'm talking about? Those who claim that they can basically connect you, and get, they can gain you the site as well.
Put a link in the back chat. You know how to do that? Type it in the
Yeah, the
back.
back chat is there. All right.
Yeah, a link in the back chat. If there's anything you want us to have a look at, just throw it in the back chat.
Yeah,
And
did it.
then
That's what they're called. And one of the guy, like the one of the main face of like people who conduct these seminars is this one.
what is there? Is there not a link for that? Hold on, let me. Uh, something.
They literally talk about same thing as Santos Bonacci does. Even he managed to, get rid of the false charges that the Australian government was applying on him, which went viral, and it became sensation for that. And now I'm
What the
seeing
team
the
is
examples of these people around me doing same thing.
oh, is it this guy? One second. Let me move it over here.
Yeah, they claim that they have ties with someone who has ties with Freemasons back in like mid 90s or early 90s, and they had trained a lot of foreigners as well. They had trained a lot of whites and blacks, of course, as well. And one of the main
Well, this person.
not this person, but yeah, that's the person. Yeah, that's the person. He basically works on like promotes what they call uh, the government that is based on village. The government is basically, like the people who are into these things. They understand how system basically work. They first thing they want to do is they live off grid. They want to separate themselves from the system. So I come from the place where there are so many villages already. So he's going villages to villages, and he's explaining about the propaganda, 13 families and everything. And he's like giving them training and stuff, basis on which they figured out that there is something called law of the land exists, and they want to continue living off of that instead. And so they're discharging. They basically challenge the courts for their mortgages, and then it turned out that the 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 system itself was not perfect, and the the currency is fake and stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
like the currency notice, which is universal everywhere. So I've seen like many people, those who have somehow managed to connect themselves with the energy. First thing they do is they challenge the system. This guy did the same thing. Santos did the same thing. um, there are others. There's one which is operational in UK. It's called Universal Law Community Trust. The girl is native English speaker, so uh, if you want to look up that, it'll be easier for you guys to form connection with that girl. She's explaining how law of the water is fake, and she managed to save her sister Kiwi trust.
She says what? Say that again. She had a trust.
Sister Kiwi trust, yeah.
What is that? Name?
Basically, they say corporations are they have nothing of their own, as the name itself says. Corporations, it has corpse in the name. So that says that they are basically dead. And so what law of the land teaches you it basically gives you the knowledge of how you had been created by a creator, and it basically creator also like make sure that to nurture you till the time you leave the planet and goes
Okay.
back to the creator. And so it also arranges things for you. And so like everyone else, if you manifest on this piece of land, you have equal rights as them, and that includes usage of equal usage of resources around you. So basically what corporations do is there is a trust, just the Kiwi trust, and it
Mm-hmm.
has the hypothetical value, which is in millions, billions. And that value is
Ah,
basically the hypothetical value of the resources
yeah.
that a person uses as per
Mm-hmm.
natural law, which everyone is born with. And so they basically create their joiner account with the with the beneficiary. And so everyone like you think this the state that you're living in, they're giving you benefit, but that's false. They take away like 99% of what belongs to you, and in exchange of that, they give you
Yeah.
1%.
Most
And
definitely.
like the judges, they don't even care about who killed whom. They basically care about milking their account with the Sestakiwi, so they can keep on getting money upon every hearing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Listen,
So,
let me quickly play a little bit of this, see what he's saying. Then I want to get back to the
it's not in
symbolism.
English though, but look up universal or community trust. It's in
It's
English.
not
It's
in
it,
English.
your Yeah, your audience will understand better. Universal or community trust.
Put that link in the chat if anything, back chat. But listen, really, I wanted to get back to this one, right? So I mean, you're more than welcome to sit up here with me while we do go through this. But this was my main focus on this one right here, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
we all
you're
want to
more
hear
than welcome.
that eagerly, bro. But let
Say
me
that
just drop
again.
you. I said we all want to hear about that eagerly.
Okay, okay. Well, like I said, you're more than welcome to jam up here with us. If there's anything that resonates with you and you want to talk about it, just let me know. I'll hit pause and we can have a word about it. So yeah, let's keep going. Right, 420. If you got that grand old Chapman.
Wand, and there's twin serpents going up the wand, and then there are wings coming off of the wand, and it's not uncommon for there to be a bulb or a disc right there where the wings split off from. And so, to me, the symbolism is very, very similar to the idea of Mercury being a psychopomp or a
What does the flower of life represent in your culture?
Or I'm leaving the studio, bro. It was super.
Okay, say no more. Say no more. All right, hey, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Next time, man. Next time, you two have a good one. Much love. Cool. Let's get back to it real quick.
conductor of souls that is able to travel from realm to realm. Well, he travels from realm to realm via the world axis, via this northern axis from the North Pole to the North Star. And there are a lot of groups that suggest that in order to ascend, on an astral level and go to different planes to do different kinds of work, there's this whole idea of there are people out there, there are groups out there that have traditions of going to a palace in the sky or going to a temple in the sky and using the world axis at the north to get there. And
Palace or the temple in the sky. See, that's the lens or the eye, whatever's in the sky, right? But if we want to go there, does that mean we're outside of the construct? If the objective is to get to, you know, the floating city, the heavens, city in the sky, where does that place us? Where are we already? Where are we right now? What is this place?
so there are books about this, and there are many ascension traditions that use this central pole, this central axis, to get out of here, which I've been talking about for a little while now. So if you're unfamiliar with this concept, all you have to do is look at my previous live streams and some of my videos to kind of wrap your head around it. But needless to say, this idea of a world axis and going up the world axis to go to other places, which a lot of people say that the real stairway to heaven exists at the north. It goes to the northern sky, which I'm going to show you imagery here that alludes to all of that. This whole dynamic of a central axis, of a world axis, which I just relate to the world tree as well, and that
Mhm.
trunk is that central axis. There's a correspondence with the world axis, which is also, by the way, the cosmic axis. I need to emphasize that more. That
Mhm.
the world axis is the cosmic axis. It's the same
Mhm.
thing. And so
Yes, 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 yes. I'm glad you emphasized that because That's something people, don't really mention. You know, world axis is the cosmic axis because we're not dealing with the world, we're dealing with the cosmos, the universe. So yes, 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 yes. Brilliant.
So we're dealing with the gigantic toroid that we live within. We're dealing with that center point within the toroid, the hyperbola, I believe it's called. And so there's a relationship with the order and structure of our domain of this plane and our physical bodies. And when you understand that there's a correspondence there, a lot of this symbolism, at least in my opinion, becomes a lot more obvious. And so to me, when I look at a diagram like this, I see world axis symbolism because we are a product of the world tree or the torus field that everything exists within. And so to me, this is the relationship. And so the pole star has been called the eye of God, the eye in the sky. There's a
Mhm.
lot of symbolism relating the northern sky to the throne of God. And so, how many things have been said about the
Yeah, the throne of God is also known as the eye of God. All right. Shout to K Podgy for that one. Salute to you. But yeah, the throne is also the eye, right? The eye of God, the throne of God. Mm, beautiful.
pineal gland that relates to godlike abilities or bringing you closer to God and your own godhood and things like that. And so the fact that there's a star in the night sky that the heavens revolve around that is at the top of the world axis, and then we also have this third eye, right there between our other eyes. I just think we're talking about some of the same symbolism that there's an as above, so below patterning going on here.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, those are most of the points that I wanted to bring up, I guess, with this slide here. So moving on. And when you look at esoteric artwork, there is a lot of stuff going on within it that basically is like the exact same symbolism. It blows my mind. So I'm really fortunate because I have a friend. His name is Graham. Shout out to Graham if he ever happens to see this. Um, and he collects really impressive, interesting, obscure artwork from like, the 15th century to like now. And a lot of the stuff he's shown me has blown my mind. And he's getting it from like all over the place. And so he actually has some art that is very alchemical in nature, right? And so what are we looking at here? We're looking at, notice that there's an implied set of twin pillars right at the bottom with those globes and with what looks like these pedestals or whatever that they're on, and they're polar kind of in nature. They kind of imply pillars or towers or whatever. And then right in the middle you've got a much larger tower, and you've got a lot of the same symbolism that I was just alluding to. You
Hold on
have
a
the twin.
second. Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Give me a second, folks. Let's translate that. What does that even say? Nah, translating right. Hold on. Mm, mm, Polar. Something about polar, bipolarish.
And serpents, and then you have the wings, and then right up top you have an eye. And so this a single eye. And so this is implying this middle way that I'm talking about, this third way. Or is it actually the first way? I think it's the first way, guys. That's kind of one of the things that I've been tripping out about lately, is that when you're dealing with pillars, you have to acknowledge the central pillar or the original pillar. And the original pillar is actually the central one. It's right there. It's the world axis. World axis symbolism is way more important than people realize. And there's a much larger tradition acknowledging it than what I think a lot of people realize. And so here you have this central pole with all of the same symbolism I've been getting all stirred up about. And you have this central eye up top. And who wouldn't assume that this eye is symbolic of God, right? And
Mm.
they're not wrong because it is symbolic of God. And I'm going to put that in quotes because that means different things to different people. But it's symbolic of Pol Aris. And someone in a comment recently said they think that it's
Ooh.
Pol Iris,
Yeah,
um, which I think is very, very interesting.
yeah, I like that. Paul Iris, most definite, most definite. I like that.
So once again, Polaris in the night sky, guys, it's still. So the heavens revolve around the North Star, revolve around Polaris. In my opinion, this is I always refer to it as the preeminent gateway in the heavens. And so I think that a lot of ancient groups, a lot of occult groups, make reference to this gateway, this stairway to heaven. And so that single eye is symbolic of this of everything that I'm talking about, basically. So the single pillar um, goes back to the world axis, and the single eye is also a reference to the world axis. In particular, the star that exists in the northern sky, in the middle of the northern sky, that is at the very end of the world axis. Um, and so I think that this is a symbol of God's eye, essentially, that looks over everything. That's kind of the symbolism. And so the stars in the northern sky are referred to as, eternal stars, because there is this stillness. They're always dependable. They're always in the same spot. Um, Mostly the pole star, though. That's the one that truly doesn't move. It's right there, and night after night after night, you can look in the same spot in the night sky, and you're going to see Polaris. So it's
hmm
always there. So there is this tranquility that's kind of associated with it because of that. There's a transcendence that's associated with it because of that. And so when most people look at this image, they're going to see this eye in the sky, and they might assume that it's the sun, but it's not the sun. I'm making the case that it's actually the pole star, and everything else that it represents. And look, you have a pole going right to it. It's the pole star. And so that's one of the things that I've noticed about older artwork and some Freemasonic art is that they kind of want the pole star symbolism to be interpretive. That maybe someone who doesn't know any better might think it's the sun, but in actuality, the ones in the know what it actually symbolically represents. And then notice that there's rays coming from the eye, just like some of the slides I showed earlier. And the rays go right up to the eye, and it kind of just reminds me of a pyramid in a way. But here we are. This is a closer up detail of the illustration. And I have not decoded what it says up there. Maybe someone can screenshot it and look into it and write a comment.
Have a quick look. What does it say, real quick? Sifard knows spec 2. Was that? Now it's changing. Hold on. It keeps on changing. Beta spec 2. What is that? What does that mean? 1 second. Come out of that. And paste that. What's that mean? Based on counting standard single word related to spectating, await, spectator. Await, spectator, to observe, watch, consider, look, sight, in a way which something appears. Right, okay. Back to the eye again, right? It would be, I mean, yes, yeah, of course it's the eye. Why not?
because I would be interested to know for sure. Right. So moving on, here's another example. So in the world of Freemasonry, you're going to see a lot of pillars. You're going to see a lot of columns. You're going
Oh, that almost looks like it wants to be, you know, that shape again, right? Look at that. I wonder if that's done by perfect design. Look at that. Could we be looking at that again, right? Could we be looking at that again? This is what they're trying to show us, right in the centerpiece, right? Nice.
to see a lot of eyes, and this is kind of showing, you know, a lot of the stuff that I'm going on about here. And so here you have three pillars, generally a feminine and a masculine pillar, and then you have that third pillar right in the middle, and then just above that you have another eye of providence. It's not in the triangle, but you know, another eye of God, basically. And so it's implying that that middle pillar is the transcendence point. It is the gateway in and out of this domain, and the correspondence is with the world axis.
Yes, this represents the mountain as well. Look at the angle of it. This is enough representation of what we looked at with the mountain and the sphere on top, right? When you see this angle, that's a representation of the mountain or even the ladder. It depends how you look at it, perspective, right? The, the gateway, the stairway, you know, or the pyramid. But also, if you look close, the Masonic floor, right? The Masonic floor is another representation of the mountain. How about that? Did you know that? Right? So whenever you see the floor, it's the mountain. Yeah, the mountain.
Here's a Masonic tracing. Here's a Masonic tracing board. And I can tell just by the nature of how this tracing board has been illustrated that it's a more modern tracing board. You can also tell that it's not as high quality as a lot of the like really high end Masonic tracing boards that are out there. But nonetheless, the symbolism to me, it's all right there. Basically, it's kind of showing you a lot of the same stuff that I'm going to be rattling on about here. And so here you have three pillars. One looks like it's very much related to solar energy. The other one looks like it's related to lunar energy. And the middle one looks like it's related to something else. Well, what would this something else be? Well, in my opinion, it has to do with the gateway to heaven, the ladder to heaven, Jacob's ladder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's alluding that this is a reference to the world axis, which is a bridge to the other side, basically. And so, in the next slide here, I'm highlighting the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence. I'm also highlighting the ladder, and then I'm also highlighting the circumpunct. And so it's the circle with the dot right in the middle. And this symbol, in and of itself, has also been related to the eye. It's been called the eye of God. It's been called the God head.
Yes,
And
I was about to say that exactly. This is also known as the God head, right? This symbol right down there, right? The God head, immaculate, right? So when I see this now, this is telling me a story, folks. This is telling me a story. Let me snap this real quick. This is nice. Yeah, this is telling me a story. This is all I needed to see. You know, I got something coming with this one right here, right? Yeah, man. This one right here. Woo, cold.
And I think it's an important symbol to wrap your head around for a few different reasons, because, in my opinion, it's a polar symbol. I know in astrology that this is the symbol for the sun, right? It's a dot with a circle around it. In my opinion, a lot of solar symbols were once polar symbols, and that there was a flip that happened. There was a switch that occurred where a lot of polar symbols were later used for solar purposes. And the best way I can put it from my understanding is that a lot of this happened, this transition happened when we moved from geocentrism to heliocentrism. So when we had a more Earth-based understanding of the cosmos, um, we basically we revered the northern sky more, and we revered the northern portion of Earth because this was considered the sacred center. And so geocentrism has a very strong link to the northern portion of Earth, to sacred center symbolism just in general, and also to the northern portion of the night sky, which includes Polaris. And so what I see within the circumpunct is literally the sacred center and the pole. So if you look at a circumpunct from the top down perspective, you are going to see a dot and you're going to see that circle. But imagine if it's 3D, you're actually seeing a pole within a hole. And so this is one of the things I keep on going on about is the fact that a lot of symbolism, in my opinion, has to do with poles and holes. And I've gone over this in other presentations, but
Hmm.
when you're dealing with world axis symbolism, once again, you're dealing with the pole, and one of the correspondent symbols that relates to the pole is actually a ladder, because again, it's a bridge to the other side. I did
And the tree represents the ladder also. We cannot forget that. The tree also represents that.
a presentation called Seven Gates to the Great Beyond, which kind of gets into some of this stuff. And so here you have a symbolic pole going to Polaris, in my opinion. And also regarding the circumpunct, um, it reminds me of the compass. And so there's a couple of compasses out there. There's compasses for navigational purposes. Where do they point? They point north, right? So that's one thing. And then there's also the drawing compass to create angles, to measure angles and to create circles. And so the circumpunct is very much related to that kind of compass because you have to plant, one part of the compass somewhere on a piece of paper, and then you're drawing a circle around that point. The compass is symbolic of the heavens in Freemasonry, whereas the square is symbolic of Earth. Um, but when you look at the circumpunct, it has a direct relationship with that
The square is symbolic to what? What? Hold on, take that back.
of the heavens, drawing a circle around that point. The compass is symbolic of the heavens in Freemasonry, whereas the square is symbolic of Earth. But when you look at the circumpunct, it has a direct
Oh, the compass and the square. I thought you meant just the square itself. Hmm.
relationship with that compass because you're planting the compass on a piece of paper. That's the center point, and you're making a circle around it. This is very, very similar to Polaris in the night sky, where there's a central point in Polaris is the cosmic axis, and then all of the stars revolve around it. So there it is, the circumpunct, which looks very eye-like. It kind of looks like the evil eye, right? Which looks is the Polaris in the night sky, where there's a central point in Polaris is the cosmic axis, and then all of the stars revolve around it. So there it is, the circumpunct, which looks very eye-like. It kind of looks like the evil eye, right? And so the eye symbolism with the circumpunct, it's very obviously there, right? It's the pupil, and then it's the eyeball. And so just to show you once again the eye symbolism that's related to the central pillar here. And so on the left side, you got your solar symbolism. On the right side with that pillar, you have your lunar symbolism. But then there's this other thing. What does the eye represent? Well, it represents Polaris. And there are rituals in Freemasonry that acknowledge Polaris. I've even heard, I read this recently and I was trying to find the quote, but the G is a substitute symbol in some Freemasonic rituals for Ursa Major. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor revolve around the pole star. And so that's kind of a different rabbit hole, but it's all very much related. But the G of Freemasonry, G is the seventh letter in the alphabet. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor each have 7 stars to them. And so there's a direct correspondence, in my opinion, with the G, with Ursa Major and Minor, with the northern sky. So when you're dealing with symbols that allude to Ursa Major or Ursa Minor, you're dealing with northern sky symbolism, right? Um, and so this central pillar is related to the stairway to heaven, which is why Jacob's ladder, or that ladder, crosses over that central pillar. It all has to do with the northern sky, in my opinion. I think a lot of secret society symbolism is actually pretty much geocentric occultism, is what it is. And so, if you're thinking like a heliocentrist, if you think that we live in a solar system and you're buying all of that hook, line, and sinker, it's going to be a lot harder for you to decode the symbolism because you're thinking in a different paradigm. I think that a lot of the deep esoteric stuff within Freemasonry has to do with geocentrism, which, when you're talking about geocentrism, you have to acknowledge the power of the North Pole, and you have to
Mhm.
acknowledge the power of the northern sky and the
Yeah.
fact that the heavens revolve around this point. Also, notice that the ladder down below, it's really small, but at the very bottom of the ladder, you can see a book and what looks like a compass and square. And then right below that compass and square, you see another circumpunct. So again, that middle pillar being related to the circumpunct, the eye in the sky, the eye of God, the eye of providence, that middle pillar being emblematic of a stairway, of a gateway out of here, in and out of here, actually. Here's another example, and I love this illustration. Um, this could be a whole episode because I'm seeing so much stuff going on in here,
Mm.
and I've had new revelations about this artwork because of some things that I've heard over the last couple of weeks. And so, at some point, I might just do a deep dive in this specific illustration. So, notice all of the traditional stuff is there, though. The pillar on the left, the pillar on the right, and then above that central pillar, that's always implied when you're dealing with twin pillars. That central pillar is very much there. You can see it with a ray of light, right? Just below the all seeing eye. Um, on the left hand side, you see lunar symbolism. On the right hand, sorry, on the left hand side, you see solar symbolism. On the right hand side, you see lunar symbolism.
Yeah.
And then, so what does that mean for what's in the middle? It's polar symbolism, as in the pole star, as in the world axis. So that's what you're dealing with here. And so when you zoom in up top, it says, "Let there be light," and there was light. So I almost feel like I might be jumping the gun to mention this here, but I have to say it. But I am following a thread of information that suggests that light, let there be light. That light has been turned into other substances, and that everything in the material world goes back to light. Basically, that light is
Yeah.
the original substance that everything else potentially was made from, but specifically water. That light, um, it's possible that light gets turned into water, and that there is a process in which
Wow.
water came from light, and that it's condensed light, it's liquid light. Water is
Damn.
liquid light, basically.
Liquid light. Water is liquid light. Yeah, I like that. But also in this, right, if you look closely, let there be light, and there was light. Right now, in this case, if you look closely, this light source seems to be coming from within inside this construct, meaning behind the eye. Right? Behind the eye. There's a reason why they put it behind the eye. Right? Oh, excuse me. Tired. But yeah, there's a reason why they put it behind the eye in this sense, right? Normally it would be on the outside. If we're talking about the light, talking about the sun, right? It would be the sun first on this side, than the eye, right? Be your blinding light. You'll be looking at the sun. The sun's behind the eye, right? Keep that in mind.
Basically. And so I think some of this stuff is alluding to that. And that's what I want to get into. If I break down this tracing board or this illustration, I want to get into all of that stuff. And it relates to arc symbolism and the royal arch of Freemasonry and the flood and deluge and just so many different things. But I think that that's another deep, deep encode with, just light symbolism in general. And obviously, when you close your eyes, you're not seeing the light spectrum. You open your eyes and then you see it. And the power of water is just absolutely incredible. It's amazing. But here you see that central pillar, like I've been going on about. And so I think that we live in essentially a trinity system where if you're only acknowledging the moon and the sun as kind of like the polarities here, and you're not acknowledging this third thing, which is the pole star, Polaris, I think you're going to be missing a lot of important symbolism. I think you're going to be missing a lot of information.
Mhm.
We live in a trinity system, and it should be acknowledged that the third thing is related to the world axis and Polaris. So there it is again. So this is a illustration of Pythagoras, and I believe this comes from Secret Teachings of All Ages. And I've been wanting to break this down too, because I see so much polar symbolism within it. It's pretty wild. Um, And so you wouldn't know it at first glance, but I think that that is what this illustration is actually all about. It's all about the sacred center and it's all about that central pillar. And so notice the first thing I want to point out is notice that in his right hand, he's holding a pyramid. And notice behind the pyramid, there's a very obvious column there. There's a very obvious pillar. And so there are twin pillars in this illustration. There's one on the left, and then you can see the one on the right. Some people might call this the pillars of Hercules, Boaz, Jachin, etc., but it's there. And so he's holding that pyramid right in front of this pillar or column, alluding to, in my opinion, just the single pillar or the central pillar. As I've been saying, if you just
So that central pillar, if he's alluding to the central pillar, that would be the tree of life, right? Ain't no way around it. That's the central pillar, the tree of life.
take one eye and you're looking at a photo of one eye, it's alluding to the original eye. And it gets into everything that I'm talking about. When you're looking at just one pillar, it gets into the central pillar or the first pillar or the third pillar, if you want to call it that. And so I think that him holding the pyramid in front of this column is alluding to the world axis, in my opinion. There's obviously a triangle above his head as well, which I feel like I can make the argument that this is another symbol related to that. And like I was saying earlier, there are various groups that believe that to ascend, you go to the north and you work with northern constellations, and it's a whole science. There's a lot of things going on there, which I'm not going to get into right now. But what is a better symbol of ascension than either the pillar or column itself with snakes wrapped around it, like we've been seeing, or the triangle itself or pyramid itself? It just implies upward movement. It's an arrow pointing up, right? And so it's not just an arbitrary sort of thing that is just pointing up in the sky. When you look at the deep encode of it, we're talking about a very specific portion of the night sky, in my opinion. Um, and so when you zoom in here, by the way, there are several things that relate to the circumpunct, in my opinion. And so I'm going to hide my. So it said StreamYard just said something weird. Okay. What I'm going to do here.
S, I just saw your comment down there in the hieroglyph represents the sun and it means power and watchtower. Watchtower, yeah. I like that. You're gonna have to send that one to me, bro. I like that one.
is it says that it's removing my audio. I don't know if that's true when I remove my video, but I'm just going to move forward as is. And so notice where his hand is pointing to on this blueprint here. It's pointing to the middle of a circle, just like the circumpunct. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that is very strategic. That is that is intentional. Obviously, his hand could be pointing at anything, but his hand is pointing at the very middle of the circle. And then right above the circle, you see a compass, right? How do you make that circle? You're going to use a compass to make it, right? If you want a perfect circle. And then on the left, you see what looks kind of like a tablet, and you see a world tree with a very
Yeah,
emphasized
there you go.
um, tree trunk, which is, as I've been saying, symbolic of the world axis. And then
Yeah,
one of the symbols on that tablet is the circumpunct as well. And so this is sacred center symbolism.
yeah.
It's world pillar symbolism, in my opinion. Um, and so the other thing that I was pointing out on the left is there's another compass essentially. And so there's
Right.
a lot going on here that I could get into, but suffice it to say, there is some very sneaky sacred center symbolism going on in this illustration.
Sneaky. Oh, hold on. Sneaky. Wowzers. Hold on. I'm gonna see if anybody gets this. Can anybody see what's going on right here? I'm gonna see. I want to see if anybody gets it. Real quick. If anybody can get what's going on right here, that means you are paying attention. Right? I'm gonna leave it right here for a second. Just browse. Just have a look. Have a look right here in this scene right here. Have a look. Because the man said there's sneaky things in this, right? There's sneaky things in this. Pay attention. No, I ain't seen no one get it yet. Okay. Now, this is the tree of life right here, right? Now you've got the representation of this one and this one here, right? Either side. But you have to look what else is in this picture, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Above the tree of life, right? Like I said, this is a tree of life. This will be the optic, right? This will be the eye. So this right here, what's above it? The scroll. The heavens will open up like a scroll, roll back like a scroll. Look at the scroll right above it, folks. Huh? You can't miss. I can't miss this. Right? It just happens. That's the scroll right there. It's in plain sight. Right? This is where the heaven is. The Polaris, the scroll, the heavens right here. That's the scroll right there. Look, the scroll, right? If you know it, yeah, the heavens will roll back like a scroll, and that's the scroll right there. See the ballpoint right there, Polaris, the dot right there. Ain't no way around it, folks. Right there.
That I wanted to point out. Also, and I have not really looked into this line of mythology myself, but it's been told to me several times. Several people have relayed this to me that there is a myth about Pythagoras having a golden thigh. And when you're dealing with thigh symbolism, you're
Oh, I need that. But hold on. I need to move it over now. 1 second. Get rid of that shit. There you go. I don't think I got this picture.
dealing with Ursa Major, which is in the northern sky. And so the Egyptians used the thigh of a bull as a reference to Ursa Major. Thigh symbolism is completely related to what's going on in the northern sky. So the fact that Pythagoras himself has thigh symbolism associated with his mythology, I find to be like really, really interesting because I think that they're encoding northern stuff in there. So again, if you weren't aware of this material, you would look at this, have one interpretation. Once you're aware of pillar symbolism, the world axis, sacred center, circumpunct, blah blah blah, I think that a lot of these details actually really come to life, in my opinion. So moving on here. So again, this central pillar, it looks just like a column. And so when you're dealing with the column, it looks very much like Roman numeral one, as in also to like the magician card, which is number one. And the magician is always holding that wand, which is another symbol related to the world axis, as I've broken down before. But you're also dealing with the letter I, right? So we're dealing with the all seeing eye. Isn't it interesting that the I, we say it exactly the same way we refer to the letter I, which is a reference to self, me, myself, and I, right? And so to me, there's a direct correspondence between all of these different things. But I think the key that unlocks all of it, in my opinion, is the world axis and the relationship we have with it. So, my opinion, I've heard this from more than one source, but that the shape of the letter I literally is a direct reference to the world axis. So, even in the Norse runes, Isa is just a central pillar sort of symbol. It's just one line, it's just a vertical line, just like an I. And I think that this is kind of like part of the same sort of concept.
Well, I mean, I is the eighth letter of the alphabet, and the eight-sided shape is also known as, well, it's related to the seed of the mother. So that's quite interesting. Mm. So I think it's Mary's seed of Mary, it's referred to.
Is that I and that pillar, the central pillar, it's all the same stuff. And I've also heard this is from the Bach saga. So I know some people are fans of it, others aren't. But according to the Bach saga, the lowercase I is a symbol of the world axis. And then the dot on top is literally the pole star, the eye of God.
Sorry, ninth letter, with the tail. The ninth letter, the tail, right? The nine and the tail, I was meant to say. The nine and the tail, just like we was looking into the seed, right? The seed back to the tail again, the ninth letter, nine, the seed, right, with the tail. So too much 420.
God, pole iris. Okay. So when I see the I, the lowercase I or the uppercase I, or Roman numeral one or a wand or whatever, it's all the same stuff, in my opinion. So this also too symbolic of your spine and the pineal gland, your third eye, Polaris. There's a relationship between all of these different things, but it all goes back to the pole, which pole is at the heart of polarity, as in positive and negative. Polarity is what you need to understand in order to use magnetism and electricity. It's a very important thing to understand when you're dealing with the torus field. And so the pole basically is emblematic of the above and the below. It separates the above and the below, but it also connects the above and the below, which is what you know pole symbolism represents, in my opinion, which I've gotten into in other streams. So when you're looking at the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, I've broken this down before, but it's good for review because of everything that I'm talking about here. There's a few things that I just want to point out right off the bat, but there is the pillar of severity and pillar of mercy, the pillars on the side, but there's also this central pillar. So once again, when you see twin pillars, there's an implied third pillar. Here in the Kabbalistic tree of life, you're actually seeing that third pillar, right? And notice that this third pillar goes above and below the other pillars because this is the pillar of transcendence. This is the world axis. And so also notice too, at least in this diagram, Kether, the top Sephiroth, it has the symbol for air in it, right? And so the symbol for air is a triangle with a line through it. It looks exactly like a pyramid with a capstone. And then even to the central pillar there, or the central sephiroth, also has a circumpunct on it too that I'm just noticing. And so when you're dealing with the Kabbalistic tree of life, to me, you're dealing with world axis symbolism, which is also the world tree, the tree of life. And so here are those three pillars. Once again, that central pillar going above and below the other pillars. But it all comes back to that pillars.
Hold
Here
on a
are those three
second.
pillars.
Yeah, Ben Mar, that's known as Mother. Hold on, what's the other one though? 1 second. Uh, high level practice, insight, income, blah blah blah. Success, knowledge, technical, really. No, keep going.
Once again, that central pillar going above and below the other pillars. But it all comes back to that one pillar, which I've been saying is potentially the first pillar, not the third pillar. And it looks like an I, Roman numeral 1, etc. It's very phallic. And God, I love this illustration too. I think I found this, within the last like month and a half or something like that. But geez, I mean, it's becoming kind of one of my favorite illustrations that I think I've ever seen, because it encodes so much of what I like to talk about and what I've been going on and on and on about. And it does it in such an elegant, beautiful way. Wow. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I would love to know if there's somehow any prints available of this, or even a higher resolution version of it, because I'm just like in awe. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Um, and so here you see this is the Jacob's ladder scene. So you see a ladder going up to the heavens, very much where the sky is opening up, obviously, for this central pillar. Notice that there are 7 stars around this central pillar. This is exactly like the pole star in the northern sky, with Ursa Major revolving around it, and Ursa Minor also revolving around it, which has 7 stars. So when you see 7 stars, or 7 dots, or 7 layers, or you're talking about 7 veils, anything related to the septenary sort of system, the number 7, I automatically think now the northern sky and Ursa Major. It's all right there. If you look at the Chariot card, which is the 7th card in the Major Arcana, you'll see a lot of similar symbolism, because it's all of this stuff is baked into that card. And so even the Charioteer in the Rider Waite deck, he has a star above his head, and there's a canopy of stars above that. But that central star, that star on his head, is symbolic of the North Star, the guiding star, right? And so this central pillar has vines wrapped around it too, very similar to Kundalini energy, the Kundalini serpents, very mercurial. And Mercury too, by the way, is very much related to the pole and very much related to the phallus. So I've broken that down several times as well. And so if you're interested in that material, you can look at other videos, especially the Magician's Wand video. But that central pillar is what I've been saying, is that is the way out of here. And so it's kind of just showing you here. And so when I see what looks like potentially a sun above that pillar, I actually don't think it's a sun. I think it's a symbolic pole star. I think it's symbolic of the North Star. And that kind of gets into what I've been saying earlier, that I think some of these Masonic illustrations, they want it to be interpretive. They want it to kind of be maybe vague, or they want people to assume that it's just solar symbolism. But in actuality, it's not. In my opinion, it makes way more sense that this is actually referring to the pole star than anything else. And to me, what it kind of looks like, just looking at the artwork, because you see the moon in the background on the left hand side there, it almost looks like the sun has already set. It looks like the sun has already set, and it looks like you can see the moon, and then you see symbolically the stars of Ursa Major around the central pole, and then you see that what actually is a star above, which basically could also be an eye. This illustration, the illustrator could have just put another all-seeing eye up there, right?
Mhm.
And I think the symbolism would be virtually the same, pretty much. So yeah, I love what's going on here. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah, because most times they change it up. You'll either get an eye there, or you'll get a triangle, right? Or you get uh what else do they put there? They put something else there, the triangle, the eye, or the G there, right? The G is sometimes there.
And so this is the ceiling of a Freemasonic lodge in London. And when I came across this, it really blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, it's so overt and obvious, everything that's kind of going on with it. And then I was surprised to see that the lodge itself acknowledges the central star as Polaris, the pole star. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing a central star on the ceiling, the pole star, and then you're seeing the ladder going to the pole star, and then what you're seeing too are the signs of the zodiac around that circle. And so what you're seeing symbolic artistic interpretation of the heavens, basically, but they openly acknowledge that that star is the pole star. It's Polaris. And so the idea, in my opinion, of what they're trying to do is that it's an as above, so below thing. So depending on your cosmology, how you see the heavens, that's how you should set up your ritual space, and that's how you should set up your home, and that's how you should set up your community. And so you're trying to mirror what the heavens are doing. And so why wouldn't you? So if the heavens look a certain kind of way to you, if there is this central star and then kind of everything emanates out of that, you're trying to mimic that. If it's good enough for the gods and for the heavens and for the cosmos, it's good enough for me. If this is how it's designed above, then that's how I'm going to design it below. And so, in a way, if you're performing a ritual underneath,
He's funny. He said, told y'all that's not the sun, it's an eye that turns each way the viewer looks. Yeah, but hey, you didn't tell me it's an eye. I don't think you know where you're at right now. I'm the eye man. I'm the eye man. Yeah, this is the IMAX theater right now. Giving you the experience. Eye man.
this space, you're basically saying that your ritual or your intention is reverberating through the cosmos via the world axis, which is the bridge to the other side. And so once again, it's an illustration, or excuse me, it's a photo that I've showed many times, but the pole star is in the middle, and the stars around it revolve and revolve and revolve and go around it. But that pole star is going to be stationary. And once again, if you look at that portion of the night sky, you're going to see it in the same spot over and over and over. It's everything else that moves around it, not unlike a top, not unlike a wheel, etc. Reminds me a lot of the circumpunct, doesn't it? Makes a lot of sense that the circumpunct is actually a polar symbol, and that's its origins was more polar in nature before it got shifted over into being a solar symbol. And this is the thing I've seen multiple times, by the way. The other kind of classic example I give is with, I don't have it here, but it's with the quartered circle. So it's the circle with a cross in it. Um, a lot of people say that this is a solar symbol, and that's what a lot of modern people say. That's what a lot of books say. But if you go into the origins of it, you're going to see world axis symbolism baked into it. That's what it represents, in my opinion. So there's a number of symbols that people are very quick.
But this is the thing, right? Because when I look at this, I see so many things, right? I see so many. All right, cool. Let's do an experiment. We got 20 people here, right? Let's do an experiment real quick. Let me see if anybody's up to par real quick. Watch this. We're gonna do an experiment, right? Hold on a second. Let's do an experiment. Is it gonna stay there? We're gonna do an experiment. Since we're back on the rings and things. Second. Let's see this experiment. Okay. Now, what do we have here? Right? We have a dot with a circle. Right? Would you agree? A dot and a circle. Right? Now, this could be a representation of many things. Right? Many things. Right? Many things. Would you agree? A dot and a circle. Not just one thing. I've heard Bro Sanchez say this is the dome. Something similar to this. He called it the dome. Right? Just with a dot and a circle. Right? A dot and a circle. Right now, what was that? The back door. Hold on. I heard the back door. No, cool. Good. Where are we now? Hold on. All right, the dot and the circle. Now, we have here a dot and a circle, right? A dot and a circle. Right? A dot and a circle. Would you agree? Yeah, a dot and a circle. What do we have here? A dot and a circle, right? Right? A dot and a circle, right? You see it? Hey, JG was in the building. What's happening? Salutes, welcome. That link's pinned. Feel free to hit that link. Right, a dot and a circle. But what does this look like to you? This could be a representation of many things. It looks like something I've been looking into of lately, right? It looks like the UFO again. What do I mean by that? If it was meant to be that, it would look like, the mouth shape again, right? It looked like the mouth shape again, right? If I'm looking for the UFO. Right? If I'm looking for the UFO, I want to see this type of shape, right? I want to see the lens shape, right? This is what I'm looking for, right? The UFO. Right? The dot in the center. Right? It's all about how you view things. Right? Like I said, some people will look at this and see, a dome apparently, right? A dome, flat earth and a dome. I look at this and I see they're trying to show me something. There's a reason why they show you different angles, right? Let's have a look. Boom. Right? UFO. UFO. Right? UFO. It's all about perspective. Right? So when someone tells you, hey, look at that ring, they're showing you a dome, you say, nah, it's more to meet the eye. Right? Not everything's based around flat earth, is what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't the fittest flat earther show. You ain't gonna get a long lecture about flat earth and no electromagnetism and all of that. Nah, nah, far from that. Sorry. You're in the wrong place, right? You're in the wrong place. It all leads back to the eye. In their case, the UFO, the lens, right?
To say that it's just all solar based. They're all solar worshipers. We live in a solar system. Well, if that's what you believe, then of course that's going to be the interpretation. But what if you don't believe we live in a solar system? Like myself, I believe our system is actually more accurately called a polar system, and because everything seems to revolve around this central pole. It just changes everything. It's a bit of a paradigm shift. But my argument here is that this is a polar symbol originally, and then this
Mm. I bet none of you would have went with the UFO, right? I bet none of you would have thought, hey, London's showing us a UFO right here. Mm? You weren't expecting the UFO, was you? Yeah, you weren't expecting the UFO. Yeah, gotcha.
this just reminds me of concentric rings, right? Which reminds me a lot of Atlantis and the idea that people used to live in ringlands. And that there was within your ringland, there was a sacred center, and you might have your family tree there, which is symbolic of the world tree. And so this is a presentation that I want to do at some point as well. This idea of, the ring lands and what that represents. Lord of the Rings. I think it's Lord of the Ring lands, basically. Um, and this is what you see in the natural world. So all you have to do is look at, you know, the growth rings of a tree. There's the middle point, and then every year there's a new ring that's kind of added to it. And so everything starts from a center and expands from there. Just like rippling water, you throw a pebble in water, there's going to be that first ring, the first break, and then there's just going to be further ripples from that. And so the circumpunct is related to the sacred center, which is related to the central pillar. And so here's a classic illustration. I actually love this version of the compass and square. And
Mhm.
within the compass and square Freemasonry, it's not uncommon to see a G, and it's not uncommon to see this I, right? And as I was saying earlier, the G is the seventh letter of the alphabet. And so I think there's a lot to be said regarding G and its relationship to the seven stars of Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Um, as we just saw in the one of the earlier illustrations, the seven stars that they're showing around that central pillar. To me, it's all the same stuff. And the compass itself too, the point of pivot with the compass, right? Um, this is symbolic too
Mhm.
of the North Star, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this is where this gets into a lot of things having to do with angles and angels and the heavens being more so.
Jay said he would. Mothership, most definite. Mothership, definitely. Year he. What's happening, Jeeps? Hey, look at this one as well, right? Because they're showing you again in plain sight, right? The mountain and the sphere, right? The mountain and the sphere. Hey, you ain't gonna get it like this, right? You ain't gonna get it like this. Mountain and the sphere in plain sight. Look at that. And that's another. Okay, look, hold on 1 second. Let's do this real quick because shit leads back to the moon, right? Uh, where is it? Hollow Earth, Hollow Moon, right? Hold on a second. So I've got too many stuff here. Give me a sec. Cool. Let's do this. Right, the construct again. Right, okay, I forgot one more. Let's do this one. Give me a sec. Let's bring this one up. Bingo, got 'em. All right, so we was looking at this part here, right? Another representation of the hollow earth symbol again, right? I've already showed you the hollow earth logo, right? But do you know what? Fuck that. Let's pull that up a bit. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me get rid of some of these photos that I got up here now. They serve their purpose. Get rid of that. Hmm? What about the Mars one? Fuck it. Let's do that one as well then. Yeah. Bingo. Let's keep going. All right. So if we're talking hollow earth now, right? Hollow earth symbols again in plain sight, right? You see it right there. Right? Boom. Plain sight again, right? Even in the Mars, they got that shit over in Mars, right? Apparently that's the same feature happening in Mars, right? Same site happening in Mars, folks. Yeah, they got the hollow earth symbol in Mars. Could all of these planets really just be a hollow construct? Is what I'm trying to say, right? A concave system. Is this what these symbols are really about? This is tied back into the hollow earth, right? Hollow earth, hollow moon, right? What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? I mean, we're encased, right? We're encased in something, right? There's the pyramid again on top. There's the pyramid, there's the pyramid on top again, right? On top of the construct. Right? Where do we see that? The hollow earth symbol again, wrapped inside the moon again, right? Right here again, right? Wrapped inside again. What's his name? Dante, right? Dante's Inferno was trying to show us something again. There goes the earth wrapped inside the moon again. The Jerusalem. Jerusalem again. Jerusalem. Right? Back through the moon. It's the flower of life. Ain't no way around it. There you go. Pull it right in your effing face. There you go. Little slut. There you go, little sluts. Right in your face. 420 if you got that shit. Everything leads back to hollow earth, hollow moon, folks. This is what they're not telling you. You have to know what you're looking at. You have to know how to decode this shit. It's there for the taking. Look at that. Right in your face. Oh man, let's keep going.
Related to circles and spheres and domes, while the Earth is more so related to squares and corners, the four corners of Earth. This is very much related to foundation symbolism, which has a lot to do with four 90-degree angles and things like that. But when I see this here, I just see polar symbolism like all throughout it personally. And just to reiterate, I know I already said this once, but
Even this G here, right? It almost looks like it wants to be two things, like a body or a castle, like a tower, right? Like a body or a tower. What do you folks think? You see what I'm saying? Like a hand, head, legs, right? Or a tower, right? Like a high tower, like a chess piece, a pawn piece or something, right? A chess piece, a tower, a castle, right? The high tower, castle.
I was just reading about the G being used as a symbol for Ursa Major in some Freemasonic rituals, and then also the plumb line being used as a symbol for the world axis within Freemasonry as well. I think there's a lot of geocentric occult symbolism baked into the Freemasonic tradition, personally. And so, kind of going back to this pyramid idea, I mean, God, I want to see these in person. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. But notice the bricks.
I've seen them. I've seen them. I've been there. I visited. It was okay. I enjoyed my stay. I think the best thing about it was I created my son over there, right? Yeah. My son got created in Cairo. That's why his name's Cairo.
All of the bricks that it takes to create such a structure. And I know I said earlier that I would get into brick symbolism a little bit. So here we are. So just acknowledging the bricks to build a pyramid, which to me, the pyramid is really
Hmm.
it's symbolic of a world mountain. And so this is called the Sri Yantra.
Mm. Symbolic of the world mountain. Yeah, most definitely. I like that. Representation. Like I said, the pyramids are a representation of the construct, right?
And this is like a 3D version of a 2D design. You guys have probably seen it. It's an Eastern thing. But this
There you go. Look at this. Look at this. This speaks volume. This goes with everything I've been trying to say and show you folks. Look what he just transformed this into. All right? Perspective. This is why I say, hey, rings and circles, you gotta start looking at them different now, right? Gotta start looking at it different. You've been conditioned to just look at things one way. I'm here to break that mold, folks. All right? Here to break that mold. Use me while you got me. Look at that. From this to this. All right? Perspective. You see why I throw these type of things at you and all of these things and shapes and rings and trying to wake you folks up, look at things different now. Yeah, it's a wicked world out there. Wicked world. I don't know what you're looking at. Look at that. I have to know what you're looking at. I have to know what you're looking at.
This schematic is sacred center symbolism all day. It's polar symbolism all day. There's even that dot right in the middle, from which everything expanded from and also returns to, just like a torus field. Notice that the square is emphasized outside of the lotus petals, and then there's four. It looks almost like tau crosses or T's coming out from the four sides. I was just talking about, the number four and how it relates to foundations and earth and everything else. But this illustration, which I've seen for years now, right? It's like a meditative tool and it means a lot of different things. But to me, at the end of the day, it's a sacred center symbol. What I wasn't aware of until maybe a few months ago is that there is a 3D counterpart to the symbol. And this is exactly what it looks like.
3D counterpart. That's crazy. I like it. And look what they're showing us, right? Look what they're showing us. Look at that. I've only seen it from this perspective. I've got a map with this angle, this view. Seeing it from here just lets me know I'm on the right track. Like, perspective. Look at things in a different view now, right? Hollow Earth, concave. This reminds me of cave.
So notice that everything builds up.
Like inside of this, right? Inside of the right? Inside of the you know the yeah, inside of the mountain, the lens, the UFO, the moon.
Up very much like a pyramid. And so the idea of a sacred center, generally, when you're talking about the center of this plane, the northern part of this plane, there's a lot of symbols, there's a lot of lore and myths that say that what exists at the center of the plane is a world mountain, Mount Meru, with its four rivers, right? Also, there's a lot of symbolism that suggests that there's a receptive thing at the north, like a hole or a gateway or an opening, which there is. There's actually, I would say that there's both. There's a pole and a hole at the north, symbolically, just like a torus field. There's that central pole, the hyperbola, but then also there is literally the hole, which where the hyperbola actually exists. So there's both a projective and a receptive.
Yeah, you have one that lets in light and one that, makes the light come out. Right? So you have two light portals, but one receives and one, takes out.
Thing going on at the north, just like a torus field. But the main thing with this slide is that I just wanted to show you guys that this is very much symbolic of a central mountain, of a world mountain, symbolic of ascension and, potentially astral travel
Are you Dutch?
and going to another plane. And I think that that's really what these pyramids are all about, essentially. When you just break them down for what they are, they're mountains, they're world mountains. And mountain symbolism is like really deep. You can get into that all day long, but they're kind of just man made mountains. And I don't think it's too much more complicated than that at its core. I think that there are so many secrets we do not understand about the ancient world. I'm not arrogant enough to say that I have it all figured out or whatever. But at the end of the day, how could you deny that this looks like a mountain or a world mountain, which means it's the central mountain at the north, like Mount Meru? And so that's what I wanted to emphasize here, is all of that stuff. And again, the bricks. Well, brick symbolism, guys, you're dealing with masonry, like actual literal masonry, like physical masonry, with bricks and building things and, whatever. And so that's what Freemasonry is all about. That's a lot of the symbolism that they've baked into their whole entire tradition is literally masonry and what is going on there. And so, at first, I did not understand the connection here with bricks and with Freemasonry, but now I totally do, and I totally get it. And so, with Freemasonry, you're always dealing with the twin pillars. When you're dealing with the twin pillars, you're also dealing with Gemini symbolism. Look at the glyph for Gemini. The glyph for Gemini is literally Roman numeral 2. And so it implies that there's twins, right? Each vertical line is one of the twins. And so when you're dealing with twin symbolism, you're dealing with the hero twins, and there's always a good twin and an evil twin, a light twin and a dark twin. In most myths, one of the twins, the evil twin, will kill the good twin. And so this goes back to like Cain and Abel stuff. And so Cain killed Abel. And so sometimes the lovers
Is that Romulus and Remus as well? Was that a thing? Is that two twins?
card, by the way, back in the day was actually called the brothers card. And the lovers card corresponds with Gemini, and Gemini corresponds with Mercury, which means hermeticism, as in Hermes and everything mercurial. We're dealing with a hermetic tradition here. And so Hermes Mercury is like a huge, huge deal to this whole entire tradition. And as I've been saying, Mercury corresponds with the pole, with the phallus. And so when you're dealing with just one of the lines, one of the pillars, one of the columns, you're dealing with mercurial symbolism, from what I gather. And so it's interesting, though, that with hero twin symbolism, there are at least a few myths out there, including some really big ones, where the hero twins of their pantheon, of their respective pantheon, are responsible for building the first wall in the town. This is the myth, or one of the myths that I'm referring to is with Romulus and Remus. And so these are the hero twins of Rome. And so even Rome comes from Romulus because they are the founders of Rome, and they are responsible for building the first wall in Rome. And so
Oh, but hold on. Excuse me. It looks like within this construct, the underworld, what's that? The Moors? Is that the Moors? What is that? Are they? Ah, so it's like it's the man and the woman in this underworld, this part of the construct down here. That's the Arabic Islamic logo signia, right, with the sword and the moon and the star. Yeah, okay. He's underneath them. Some type of queen, maybe a king, I don't know. I can't even make out what they say down here. Daughter's Job's daughter. Ah, what's that one? Something girls. Oh, rainbow girls. Okay. Oh, interesting.
out of what? Bricks. And this is where the good twin killed the evil twin. And so brick symbolism has also to do with the fact that apparently, way back in the day, and this is according to a book that I have called Babylonian Star Lore by Gavin White. That book is so awesome, man. I mean, there's so many things that I've learned from.
Rainbow girls. What do they mean by rainbow girls? Rainbow girls. What would cause the rainbow? Something reflecting an arc of some type. What's the symbol down there? That is almost like a, what is that? Like a dome within a dome with a sphere in the side of it. I can't even zoom in anymore. But let me try and snap that and zoom in. Rainbow girls, like a arc. Something going around. I wonder if that's meant to be. If they're talking about rainbow, something colors. The iris maybe. Rainbow, iris. Girls. Hold on. Girl, iris. Sirius, Siri. Siri, Iris, Siri, Rainbow. Hmm. Why are the girls? Why rainbow girls? And then Job's daughters. Because Job's description to the realm was pretty awesome, hangeth, right? This is Job's description to the realm. Where is it? Hold on. Hangeth, right? If we're talking biblical, we're talking hangeth. This is what flat earth dodge. This is what they do. Hey, Nico, this is what you're dodging. Right? This is what you're dodging, Nico. Right? Hello, if you're listening now, you are live from London McLovin. You are the resistance. Hangeth, right? Hangeth. Yes, Lord. Hangeth, the daughter, right? Hangeth. Hangeth. Lilith. Hangeth. Lilith was hangeth. Mhm.
in that book. It's seriously, it's legit. I would get it if you guys are even remotely interested. So once again, Babylonian Star Lore by Gavin White. He was saying in that book that according to the Babylonians, that Gemini, the time of Gemini, was referred to as the brick mold. And the reason for this was because of the fact that they would resume construction projects and baking bricks out in the sun during the time of Gemini. So Gemini's nickname was the brick mold. And so, obviously with astrology, it's like all of these signs usher in different seasons, or different times of the season. So then, at the beginning of spring, it makes sense to be certain things, but to be doing certain things versus say winter, you're doing something else because the weather's changing. And so during Gemini, they would start baking bricks out in the open sun, and they would resume building things with these bricks. And so they have a direct correspondence as well with Gemini and bricks. So once again, masonry, the twin pillars, the twins of world mythology, because there's a lot of hero twins out there. And again, a lot of these hero twins built the first wall in their respective town or city. And so what you're seeing here is an illustration of Romulus and Remus helping build the
There they are.
first wall in Rome using bricks. And it's been a while since I've looked into
But hold on. The first, what? Say that again. Hold on.
using bricks. The first wall in Rome.
The first wall in Rome. Okay. I didn't know they was trying to build the first wall in Rome. Romulus and Remus. So, I came across something, right, and it's all built on a mountain, right? One of the first illustrations of Rome was depicted on a mountain. Uh-oh. Yeah, that I heard that back. That was crazy.
Using bricks.
I'm not sure whether you heard that, but what I was trying to say was one of the earliest depictions was Rome was also depicted on a mountain, right?
Been a while since I've looked into this storyline, but my understanding is that the hero twins here are this figure on the left that has a square, and he looks like he's measuring the bricks, and then the figure on the right that's holding some sort of pole prop, and so those are the hero twins. But it's showing you the relationship between hero twins, Gemini, twin pillars, with bricks. This is very much a thing. And so I just think it's interesting that the pyramid itself is made up of bricks, and a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of brick symbolism has to do with twin pillars and twins and Freemasonry and all that kind of stuff, right?
Sometimes I wonder, is it really my reception or is it really this algorithm listening? Because some of this stuff sounds spooky when I hear it back, right? It's wild.
So I think you guys get the idea. And again, one of them was killed at this wall. So I pretty much said everything I wanted to say with that, but Gemini was associated with the brick mold. And even kind of looks like a brick a little bit. The interior of the Gemini glyph kind of looks like a little brick or something. So there you go, just showing you bricks, right? And also, oh man, I don't even, I'm not going to get into it. But there was a brick ritual that happened a few years ago out in the public that happened during Gemini. And maybe I'll go into it at some point, but it's just, it's so obvious. It's so crazy. I mean, it blew my mind when it was happening. I was like, oh my God, they're doing a brick mold ritual. This is nuts. All right. So to break down some of the language here, Inuit coeptus, which basically, from my understanding, means something along the lines of Providence favors our undertakings, right? And then I just want to point out this is not so much the focus of this presentation, but Nut, the Egyptian goddess that is the night sky, that is the arch. And notice that there's an arch of text above the pyramid, and notice that it's broken right in the middle of the arch. It's almost like there's this opening there between these two words on the side of the all-seeing eye. To me, it's symbolic of that gateway, of that opening, basically. And
Mm.
then down below, Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages, which is basically where we get New World Order from and the NWO from. And so to me, the revelation here with New World Order is this idea of order. And what does order represent symbolically? And it's something that I've gotten into lately. So here's another like Freemasonic illustration. It's the twin double-headed eagle, and then down below you see this is order ab chaos, right? So this idea of order and chaos is a thing that is baked into Illuminati symbolism, in my opinion. And so order ab chaos, order out of chaos. If you guys have been following my work, this is something that I've been very interested in as of late. And if you really want to know, like if you want to get into the weeds with it, you guys should totally check out my presentation called Decoding Chaos. So I originally gave this presentation on the Interverse podcast channel. Shout out to Chance. He does awesome work. I love talking to that guy. He's an incredible person. I really can't say enough good things about him. And so he had me on, and I wanted to talk about the nature of chaos and the nature of order and how it relates to the world axis. And so if you want to get into the details with that, check this out. I mirrored it on my channel. But what I get into is this idea that the world axis, this central column or central pillar, is what brought order to chaos. And that in the early development of the cosmos, everything was, basically, it's been referred to as like a cosmic heap. So all of the elements were kind of like together in this soup, and there was nothing that was separate, basically. And so it was chaos. There was no order to the situation. And so all of the elements and everything that ever existed was in this was like an amalgamation of this substance, basically. And it wasn't until the world axis came to be, however it came to be, but it wasn't until this pillar, this symbolic pillar, separated everything, did we have space. Did we have space for the elements to do their thing? Did we actually have some sort of structure in this reality? And that's exactly what the world axis represents, guys. That's one of the
Yes, well, according to the Egyptians, it was the mound that came first. I think this is another representation what they're showing us here, the mound, the pyramid, whatever you want to call it, the step pyramid, uh, Saturn's weapon. I forgot what it's called now. This weapon, but the Reapers. What's this called again? I forgot the name of it again. I think this is a could be representation of the moon again itself. The ring.
The things that I'm like super jazzed about is that the world axis symbolically represents its function. And so what it does is it brings order to the cosmos. It brings order to the heavens because it gives everything to it gives a point of pivot for everything. It allows some sort of structure because everything revolves around this world axis. And so now there's like a rhythm and there's like a pattern to everything. And so here what you're looking at is the weeping virgin, and you see a broken pillar symbolic of chaos. So there is this deep sort of thing relating woman to chaos, and not in a bad way in my opinion. And there's also an encode that her hair is symbolic of chaos. And so what you see here is a patriarchal figure in Kronos, Father Time, and he's separating her hair. This is symbolic of the separation that the world pillar brought from the above and the below. It separated the above and the below, and it also connects the above and the below as well. And so I think that's what you're kind of seeing here is that her hair is tangled, and Father Time is separating her hair, um, not unlike God separating the elements and actually creating space here. So again, my decoding chaos presentation really gets into this. And so if you're interested, you should absolutely check it out. And I've been referring to this image a lot lately because I think it says so much with so little. And this is a Freemasonic thing. And
So you got that thing going on again in the cup, right? Wonder if you can see it. Now remember the cup is another representation of the construct itself. And actually got the pyramid on top with the ball again. All right, where did we see that? We just went through that. Yeah, right there.
this is one of my favorite versions of this little scene here. And so this is the magician card. This is the Thoth version of the magician. And so notice right behind him is that world axis. Notice that there's the wings above, and then there's that disc as well. And there's even like serpentine symbolism going on right above his head. But it's the first card in the major arcana. It's the world axis. So to me, the magician card lines up with the world axis so much because what do we have before the magician card? It's the fool. And especially in this deck, I don't have the artwork here, but it is very chaotic. So the fool, the zero, is more so in chaos, symbolic of chaos, from which everything came from. And then the one brings order. The world axis brings order. The phallic symbolism brings order because it gives you something to to look up to. It gives you something to revolve around. It gives you some sort of structure, you know. And so to me, that's what the world axis represents. It brings structure to the heavens, the same way Polaris symbolically brings structure in that everything revolves around it. The same way an axle allows a wheel to even work, or that center point allows a mill to
Well, I think I would go as far and say it brings light, but as we were talking about earlier, can light solidify, make things solid in a sense, right? Light base to solid base. So that would mean structural also, right? So the pillar would bring the light, right, through the tree of life, through the optic nerve.
turn and spin and everything else. And so to me, that is the function of the world pole. It brings order, which is why I think the four elements, the objects of the four elements in the magician card are so neatly placed on this table because the magician holds up that wand and which is symbolic of order, as I've been saying. And so, therefore,
Is that a wand or a candle? What is that in his hand, actually? Let's have a look. What is this? What type of wand is this? I've never seen this. Oh, table.
the elements are in order on the table, and the magician is doing the as above so below position, and so he's implying that, like, I'm connected with both what's happening above and what's happening below. I connect what's above and below, but I also separate what's above and below. And he's kind of mirroring this concept that God separated things. And there's illustrations, which I don't have here either, of God literally separating the elements and doing the above below position to separate, the heavens from earth, or separating lunar symbolism from solar symbolism. It's the same sort of thing. And so the world axis, which, as I've been saying, has a direct correspondence with the eye, um, it implies order in and of itself. So when the Illuminati, if you want to call it that, um, when they say New World Order, what they're implying, in my opinion, is they're saying that they want to become the new focus, or the new world axis. They want to be the new point of pivot that everything revolves around. Or I think there's a few ways of interpreting it. Or by putting it on money, they're saying that this is your new pole, that there's a pole shift away from self towards the monetary system and making money. So when I hear New World Order, I hear New World Axis, as in a pole shift, as in a shift of focus, basically. And so, to me, that's really powerful that they would even be saying that. But that's how I personally decode it based on everything that I've kind of outlined here. I know I have at least a few more slides, but hopefully that's clear. New World Order is symbolic of a pole shift, and pole shifts can happen in lots of different ways. But the idea is that people's focus is shifted now. And so, the same way with geocentrism, the focus was more towards, uh, you know, northern symbols, in my opinion, the northern sky, things like that, or your sacred center. And there was a pole shift away from that. There was a pole shift away from the pole star to the sun. And so that is the New World Order. The New World Order also might be emblematic of the introduction of heliocentrism, that is the New World Order. You're no longer going to be acknowledging the cosmology of the ancients, that's holistic. You're not going to be acknowledging this new cosmology, which is all solar based. And so, therefore, the sun is the new pole star in a lot of ways. I think there's a lot to be said about that. So, again, it all goes back to the pole. The pole brings order, and there's traditions too that say that the world axis is like the symbol of order, the symbol of authority, the symbol of power, which is why so many kings and emperors and things like that, people in power, they like to hold a pole, they like to hold a scepter, you know um because there's this old tradition that basically says, like, hey, you're holding kind of like a phallus, you're holding something that actually brings order. um Another myth that I'll just say real quick that maybe can help illustrate what I'm trying to get at here is, in a book called The Night of the Gods by John O'Neill. I can't remember where this myth comes from, but I believe it was an island culture had this early myth about the world being completely covered in water, and it wasn't until an island actually formed out of the waters was there any land at all. And so this is their early cosmology of how everything came to be. And this island just floated around the plane, just floated around the world ocean, because it didn't have anything to stabilize it. And so it was just meandering, and it was just wandering, and it was lost. And
Sorry, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I stepped away, but I was hearing, listening to something. Take it back. Take it back.
I can't remember where this myth comes from, but I believe it was an island culture had this early myth about
The early myth. Okay, hold on, because I know the myth. I know the myth. I just dropped that myth. Hold on a second. 1 second. See if it'll, let's see if it will play for us. All right, we know that myth very well, don't we? Yeah. Hold on. There we go. All right. All right. So what was that myth they were talking about now? Hold on. Let's listen carefully. Let's listen carefully.
the world being this early myth about the world being completely covered in water. And it wasn't until an island actually formed out of the waters was there any land at all.
Okay. That myth. Yeah, we know that myth very well. Let's hear that myth.
Here. Question is how.
Atum created the first dry land, the mound.
Through my understandings and research, the mound seems to be the moon, the mond, diamond. Let's keep going.
Atum created the first dry land, the mound. And with his children, Shu and Tefnut, brought it into being. From the mound, Atum.
The mound, right? That's what he's referring to. The mound, but you just don't know it. Let's take him back.
This comes from, but I believe it was an island culture had this. Remember where this myth comes from, but I believe it was
All right, it's the Egyptians. Right? And I think there's another culture as well, but I know the Egyptians, it's embedded in their culture, all right? The mound was formed. One of the first things, the mound, right? The mound, the rock, aka the moon.
an island culture had this early myth about the world being completely covered in water. And it wasn't until an island actually formed out of the waters was there any land at all. And so this is their early cosmology of how everything came to be. And this island just floated around the plane, just floated around the world ocean because it didn't have anything to stabilize it. And so it was just meandering and it was just wandering and it was lost. And
It's wandering, lost. That sounds like something's severed, dislocated, a dislocated lens, possibly.
it wasn't until the first tree sprouted and grew and developed roots did the island stay still. So it
Mm.
required the world tree, a symbolic world tree,
Wow. For the island to stay still, it needed a tree to grow. That's interesting.
to stabilize the island. And then from there, then, animals and life and stuff started growing on it and whatever. But it needed an axis symbol to stabilize it. And so it needed that penetrative almost like an anchor sort of thing to anchor down the island. And so the idea that the world axis relates to order is like, again, definitely a thing. And there's a number of myths to me that suggest that. And so I just thought I would throw that out there too. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that helped.
So once again, just kind of going back to one of the earlier illustrations, there's that pole, and then there's that eye. So new world order. There's a new world axis away from the old world axis, right? And like I said, there's a few ways of interpreting that, in my opinion. And just driving it home once again, just kind of what's going on with the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence, and how it's symbolic of that central axis, in my opinion. And that's what I got. So hopefully you guys appreciate that and like what I'm putting out there. Honestly, if you have any comments, I would love to read them in the description or on the video link itself. And I'm curious. I'm curious to see what you guys think about this one. If I'm on the money, if there's things that I'm missing out. I feel as though that there is more to be said about all of this, but this is obviously my first take at just kind of getting some of these ideas off my chest. But I think that there's a direct relationship with the world axis, the all-seeing eye, the idea of New World Order, and I think
Mhm.
a lot of Freemasonic symbolism is pretty much alluding to all of this stuff. And I've been referring to it now as geocentric occultism or magic, which I don't think they want us to be aware of personally. It's way more holistic. It makes way more sense. Things are more orderly when you look at things that way, in my opinion. Heliocentrism, not so much. So I've, for the most part, dropped that way of thinking. And so I'm not so much solar based anymore. I'm more polar based with everything, if you couldn't tell.
Polar based.
All right. So getting on to the credits here. Maybe, I don't know. I'll just full screen this thing. Right. So
That'll do me. It's getting late. Yeah, that was good. That was interesting. There's a few things that you missed that I picked up, but I'm pretty sure you lot are aware of it anyway, because most of you, excuse me, come to class. That's what I like to see. You don't know. Hey, you got a boy in the building. What's happening? Are you Dutch? Are you Dutch? Yay, what's happening? Salutes, bro. Okay, Grando chat room. Flat Earth Andy in the building. What's going on? Piano in the building. Salutes. Welcome. Welcome. Flower in the building. Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, that was it. Symbols. Symbols. Different perspectives, right? That's what I'm all about, man. That's what I'm all about. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll do this dance again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But yeah, thanks for coming out. I appreciate you folks taking your time out. You already know the motto. Look after yourself. Love over war. Lay low. Take care.